Welcome back to Perrine Party of Two. Episode 3?
Yep, I think
Yeah.
it's episode 3. I'm Shauna Perrine,
I'm Chris Perrine.
and we're your hosts. And we're excited to talk to you about all things life and marriage and faith. And we're going to jump into today's episode where we talk about
How we met.
how we met.
How we got engaged, how we fell in love, how the Lord brought us together, and all of that, all of the fun behind the scenes we're going to take you into this week.
Yeah. And specifically the engagement season.
So we figured this week we'd kind of just pick up where we left off last week and tell you the rest of the story here, part 2. Last week's story, we talked about kind of how we met, how we were dating long distance for a while. We managed that and how we thrived and learned along the way with dating long distance, and where that led to is...
Obviously, it led to me moving to Nashville. So, surprise! I don't know if we told you that last week, but surprise! But yeah, I moved to Nashville the end of 2023, and we jumped into dating in the same town, which was really fun. So I gave Chris a book that I had a lot of mentors mention this book. I'd heard of it before, and it's called 101 Questions to Ask Before You Get Engaged. And so I thought that we would do them separately. And so I bought 2 copies. And for Christmas, I gave Chris 2 copies, and I said, I didn't want to just assume that he wanted to marry me. So I said, these are for you and the person that you would like to marry or you're thinking about getting engaged to. And so, what did you do?
I gave you the other one.
I know. So give me the other one.
I also, in my mind, we're 6 months into dating at that point, I think, at Christmas 2023, that was. And I just remember thinking, well, dang, that's a good sign, right? She must really like me. She's giving me this book on what to ask before you get engaged. I'm like, I'm gonna take that as a good sign.
Yep, that's a good sign. How was that for us going through that book? I want to get your perspective on that.
It was great. I think I was kind of unsure. I think in the beginning of what to expect. I had you think you kind of know somebody, you've gotten to hang out with them, you've spent time with them, but I really enjoyed the book. Kind of it brought up topics that I wouldn't have thought to ask about it, questions just from how you were raised, how your parents parented you growing up, to whether or not you want pets or dogs or cats, or to it went from deeper stuff to what kind of trauma do you have in your life, to things that you haven't healed from. And then it went to lighter things of are you more of a going out on a Friday night person, or staying in and watching Netflix and hanging out and cooking dinner at home? So it's not all just a therapy session going through this book.
Yeah.
It's all sorts of, there's just really broad spectrum of topics to go through, and I appreciated that there were a lot of things that I would not have thought to ask.
Yeah.
And it gives me the opportunity to get to know you better. There's a lot of things that I know about you now that I didn't know before we went through the book. And nothing scared me away.
Oh, good.
All good things.
Yeah, I feel like when we've talked about this book to other people that even were married, they were like, oh, we wish we would have gone through something like that. Or, they're like, we don't even think we know all the answers to those questions, and we've been married for X amount of years. And so I think, there were questions where it was like, have you been married before? And we both had it. And so it was an easy no, move on.
Other questions that took 2 hours to discuss.
Yeah. And you just never really knew what the next question was going to be. And it ended up that you're supposed to go through it together. So you're not supposed to do it separately. You're supposed to sit down and actually go through it. And so.
Which is how we did it.
Did it. Yeah. I think it was funny in the beginning. In 3 months, we went through 3 questions. And I remember thinking, we're never going to get married. This is insane. And somewhere along the way, we picked it up, and just started being more intentional. And yeah, but I do think I appreciate it because I think, like Chris was saying, there were questions that I wanted us to talk about, but there, some of them where you're like, this is a really intense question. Like, and because it's in front of you and it's in the book, you're like, okay, we're going to talk about that now. It gives you space to talk about the things that we should have been talking about and like needed to talk about. And I do think like we obviously got to know each other really fast before
Yeah.
we started dating. And I appreciated that because it's like, we're 32 when we met. We weren't 21. And so I think there's an element of like we've lived a lot of life and we knew what we were looking for. And it kind of was like, hey, if you're not what I'm looking for, I don't want to waste your time and you don't want to waste my time. Mutual
Yeah.
respect of that. And so I think even the book allowed us to say, like, even more so, like, are we right for each other? And I think even if you take the book away, it's like we prayed so much during that season that I think confirmation from the Lord is even more important than if you think you match on some like personality test or
Compatibility
something.
test.
Yeah, compatibility test. It's like you can take all the compatibility tests in the world, but if you're not like in prayer and feeling at peace about it, then it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. So, why don't you tell the story of our engagement? Or if you want to start even when you asked my dad, do you want to start with that story? I feel like that's a funny one. I love hearing you tell it.
For one, I was very appreciative that you decided to move to Nashville. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like we were talking about that earlier, I remember thinking in my mind that I didn't think you really loved Nashville at the time. Like you were just there for work. And
Yeah, it's probably true.
so we were newly dating, and with the long distance, I was like, I don't want to ask her to move to Nashville because if I ask her, then I don't want her to feel like I'm pressuring her to move here. But also, like, your job's remote and I have a job and I have to go find a new one if I left.
Yeah.
And, we have music here and everything. But I just remember, like, I really hoped she would come here, but I don't want to pressure her or anything like that.
Could I interject on
Yeah.
that? I think it's so funny when we talk about things we thought back when we were dating. Because then my like rebuttal to that would be like, well, he's not telling me that he wants me to move to Nashville, so maybe he doesn't even want me to move to Nashville. It's like all the crazy things that we think in our brain. And I think I even was like, I think I even asked that at some point, like, do you even want me to move to Nashville? Like, because he's over here, being like, I don't want to pressure her. And I'm like, pressure me. Show me you love me. Like it's one of those. Anyway, so I just wanted to
The difference
interject
in the
that.
guys and girls' brains.
Yeah.
is-
So funny.
So the engagement, I remember thinking all the way back to like high school when I was, trying to plan a way to ask a girl to homecoming or prom or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so stressful, like to get creative and come up with something cool and unique and fun. And I just remember like even back in high school thinking like, man, I don't know how people get engaged. Cause like if it's this stressful trying to plan like how to ask someone to a dance, like how do you ask someone to marry you? Like that's gotta be a whole nother ballpark of just nerves and stress. And
Yeah.
so we were getting pretty deep into the book. I think we were, probably 80 questions or so into the 100 questions. And so I was trying to think, with us being in Nashville, her family's in Washington mostly, and then kind of spread out. And I didn't want to just call her dad and ask over the phone or something. So I was like, well, how am I going to get a chance to ask him in person? And happened that we were going to go up there for Thanksgiving and spend the week up there with the family. So I was like, all right, I got the, I'm going to get the ring. I like put the deposit down. I'm going to go up there. And when we're up there for Thanksgiving, I'll find some time to ask her dad while we're there. And which was kind of difficult in the sense that like, it's hard to get like one-on-one time when we're all in one house. And probably should have asked earlier in the week before you got there. Cause I think I got there a day or two before you. Would have been easier. But I decided I was like, I'm gonna wait, give it a few days
Like
and
warming it
play
up.
it cool, warm it up a little bit. And so I'm running the gears in my head of like, how do I find time to get one-on-one time to ask? And her dad has this really cool one wheel thing that it's like a unicycle motorized that he's just zooming around the yard on. And I really wanted to try it. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, oh, this would be a good opportunity to have some one-on-one time to ask him. And so I go out, I'm talking to him, and I'm falling and falling and falling off this thing. I
So
was
intense.
way worse than it was way more difficult than I thought it was going to be. But then in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask him now because I don't want him to think the only reason I came out here to like hang out was just to ask him. Like, I actually did want to learn how to ride this thing. It looked really fun. So I was like, oh, I'll ask later. So then, like a day or two later, we went back out to go try to ride again. I did a little bit better. And so now I'm feeling more confident on this one wheel. And we're on the back patio, and her dad is sitting on this weathered outdoor patio
He
furniture
got it off the side of the road,
chair.
so it had seen better days.
And so I stopped to take a break for a minute. I start to bring it up, and I'm like, hey, actually, while I was up here, I was really hoping to find some time to talk one on one, and I had something I was wanting to ask, and I was wondering, and I think mid question, the chair just explodes, and he falls flat on his back, and his feet go up in the air, and I'm just stunned of like, are you okay? Like, are you all right? Like, I don't know. I was nervous enough just trying to get the strength up to ask the question, and then I was not expecting this curveball of a chair collapsing mid question. So he's like, I'm okay, I'm all right, okay, you sure you're good? And so he gets up, gets in another chair, and sits back down, and said, well, so everybody else is still inside. I don't know. You said you had heard
Yeah,
something.
my sister Karen and I were washing dishes, and there's a window right there, and you could see out to where they were writing. Um, so we saw 2 feet fly up in the air. That's all we saw. We didn't even know who it was. And I was like, somebody fell. My mom was like, no, everybody's fine. I was like, Mom, somebody fell. We saw 2 feet go up in the air.
I
That's
think
all
they I
we.
think they thought I had crashed on the one wheel.
But my mom ended up going out there. I think I kind of poked my head out too, and then it was kind of like, whatever, I need to finish washing these dishes. And so
Yeah.
I probably good that I didn't come out because
Yeah, that would
that would
have
have been a little
thrown
difficult for
another
you.
wrench in.
You're like, oh, Shauna's here. Never mind.
Anyways, it's a beautiful day out.
Yeah.
So he got back up, sat in another chair, and I started asking the question again. I get through asking if I can marry your daughter, and he says, "Well, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one, because my wife Carrie would, I want her to be involved in this conversation as well too." And I was like, "You're gonna make me wait? All this waiting, I gotta wait more now." So I thought it would be like yeah, man, like, you're a great guy, like, sure. And so he said, I'll have to get back to you on that. And thankfully, because they had seen the feet go flying up in the air, her mom came out probably 30 seconds later and was like, hey, what's going on out here? And so her dad said, hey, actually, like, we're just having a good conversation. Come sit down with us. Chris, tell her what you were telling me here. I'm like, all right, for the third time, let's start over again. Okay. So what I was trying to say was, I was wondering if I could have your permission to ask your daughter to marry me. And I just remember the two things she had asked me was, well, have you guys prayed about it? And well, she said, have you guys talked about it? And then have you prayed about it? And I said, yeah, we've been talking about it for the last year. We've been reading these books, going through all these questions, and doing lots of praying. And I told, I told Shauna like early on in the relationship that I'd never been in a relationship where I felt this much peace of
Mm.
just like, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't nervous or like anxious. I wasn't like, there was nothing that was not at ease. And it was great all the time. It was great. Long distance was hard, but like,
Yeah.
I just had this piece of just like, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. This is great. Like, and
Mine was like the opposite. It was like chaos all the time. But in the sense that it was like I just like overthought everything, and I think it was just so much, and it was a lot. And I think I told you that along the way. I'm like, oh my gosh! But it drew me closer to the Lord because I really liked Chris, and I really did see a future with him, and I felt like he was, who I was going to marry and everything. But it was just like, man, when you're dating someone to marry them, it is like you are processing a lot of emotions and a lot of, I think even like past trauma and like you just everything you've ever gone through in your life, relationship wise, you're like, it's almost like, I always thought of it like when someone loves you, it kind of heals you. And so, like, because Chris loved me so well, it like helped me heal, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't painful because there was a lot of like stuff to work through.
Especially with
But
us
yeah,
being, both of us being 32, you're not 19 or something. So
yeah,
you've had a lot of life to get to where you are there. And so you've had more time to have more life happen.
plenty of
And
bumps and bruises.
yeah.
Yeah, but we made it. So
Yeah.
fast forward to Christmas. Christmas was kind of fun because I don't even think we planned on going anywhere. I think because we did the Thanksgiving thing, it was like, holiday flights are expensive. We were like, we'll do Thanksgiving, we'll do Christmas here in Nashville. And last minute, my sister was flying back to the States from Brazil. And then my parents were going to be down in Florida, which is close to us. So we were like, hey, it kind of was like whoever can make it, come down to Florida. And my parents were getting everyone together. And so we just decided to go. I don't even know if it was like, oh, I'm going to go. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go. And then um, even like down to one of my sisters was like, I don't know if I'm going to go. And then I told Chrissy, I hope's not sure if she's going. And then, what did you end up doing in that situation?
Yeah. Because Shauna had mentioned that her sister Hope was undecided on whether she was going to make it on the trip. And I knew that this would be a great time now that I've asked for permission and I've gotten the ring and the whole family's going to be together for Christmas. I know how important her family is to her. So I just thought, this would be a great time if I'm going to ask her to marry me. Like, it'd be really fun to have all of her family there for her to be able to celebrate and just to make that even more memorable. So her sister Hope was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be there. So I called her because she's a really good photographer and has really fancy cameras and all this stuff. And so she had helped me, even with cover art for like other songs I had put out and things like that. And so I called her. I think she was at Disneyland when she answered and she was like, hello. And I was like, hey.
I don't think you like at that time really called Hope for anything.
No, I don't
Really.
think I had really, I mean, other than when I was out in California, I think she picked me up and went to In-N-Out and we were out there on that
Yeah.
trip the one time. But I called her and I never call her and she's at Disneyland and she answered and was like, hey, like, what's up? And I was like, hey, I heard you're not sure if you're coming or not to Florida for Christmas. And she was like, yeah, I haven't decided yet. I'm still, it's not looking like I probably won't be able to make it. And I was like, is there any way that you could make it? Because I was kind of planning on proposing over that Christmas week, and it would be really cool if you were there and to have somebody there that could help take pictures and stuff too, because I
Yeah.
don't know any photographers or people in Florida that I could call and hire or something. And so I already know that she does good work. Plus, it would be great to have her there for the, for the actual proposal.
Yeah.
And so I think I had talked to you and you're like, hey, Hope said she's going to come. I'm like, oh, wow, that's
Shocker.
great. Like, I wonder what changed her mind.
He didn't say that.
But yeah, so the proposal was a whole adventure of itself. Hey everybody, pardon the interruption, but this is Chris and I just want to let you guys know, as we were recording this podcast, we realized time was running a little long. So in order to get the whole story in and also keep things short and sweet, we wanted to split this into a 2-part series. So if you've enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear part 2 to the proposal story, then stick around and it will be available very soon. As always, thank you guys so much for listening and supporting us. We really do appreciate it and it means the world to us. This has been Pareen Party of 2.